Everything we thought we understood about power in professional women's basketball has already collapsed. It didn't happen slowly. It didn't happen quietly, and most people still don't realize it's already over. For decades, the WNBA operated on one unspoken rule. Players needed the league more than the league needed the players. Contracts were framed as opportunities. Salaries were framed as blessings. And anyone who pushed back was reminded how fragile the business supposedly was. But over the last year, that entire belief system has been burned to the ground. What we're witnessing right now isn't a negotiation, it's a takeover. And sitting at the center of it all is one name the league never planned to give this much power to Caitlin Clark. This story didn't start with lawyers or press releases, it started with arrogance. The front office believed this would be business as usual. A slow renegotiation, a few concessions, some PR about growth, then back to normal. They assumed the players would fall in line like every generation before them. That assumption turned out to be catastrophic, because this generation isn't asking for survival money anymore. They're asking for ownership level respect.
It's a good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end. And so that was
When the WNBPA opted out of the current collective bargaining agreement years early, it sent shockwaves through the league office. But the real panic set in when players authorized a potential strike. That move wasn't symbolic, it was nuclear. It was the first time the league had to confront a terrifying reality. The labor force finally had leverage. And not theoretical leverage, economic leverage. At the center of that leverage is the Clark effect. Not hype, not fandom, hard numbers. In 2024 alone, Caitlin Clark was responsible for an estimated 26.5% of the league's total economic activity. One rookie. In a league of over 140 players, Indiana Fever games turned into traveling events. League-wide attendance jumped over 40%. Viewership records that had stood for 2 decades fell almost weekly. Merchandise exploded. Social engagement rivaled NBA teams. And under the current deal, her base salary sat around $76,000. That number didn't just upset fans. It radicalized the locker room. Because once you see the math, you can't unsee it. Angel Reese sees it. Cameron Brink sees it. Every rookie in that historic class sees it. The league is printing money off their names while telling them the cupboard is bare. Players watched owners scramble to add private flights only after public pressure forced their hand. They saw the massive multi-billion-dollar media rights deal announced with smiles and champagne, and then they were told to be grateful. That's when the question became dangerous. Where is our share? The refusal to accept the old CBA isn't about greed. It's about refusing to participate in a system that exploits visibility while capping upside. The players know the owners are preparing to feast on this revenue for the next decade, and the union decided to flip the table before the meal even started. But the moment true fear entered the league office came from somewhere unexpected. A startup. A threat no one wanted to take seriously at first. Unrivaled. Founded by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, the league didn't just offer an alternative, it exposed the truth. Reports surfaced that Unrivaled prepared an offer for Caitlin Clark exceeding $1 million for just a few months of play, plus equity in the league itself. Clark stayed silent. No commitment, no denial. Just silence. And that silence shattered the WNBA's leverage. How do you tell a player a $200,000 supermax is fair when another league offers 5 times that for fewer games and ownership upside? You don't. You can't. The existence of that offer alone proved the money was always there. It just wasn't meant for the players. That realization lit a fuse inside the league. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert suddenly found herself under siege, not just from agents and lawyers, but from the players themselves. Reports leaked about private conversations where leadership implied players should feel lucky for the media deal that was negotiated. That comment walked back later, unified locker rooms overnight. The message players heard was simple. The league believes it deserves credit for success it didn't create. Public criticism followed, stars stopped holding back, the tone shifted from frustration to defiance. The belief was clear, the league is succeeding in spite of leadership, not because of it. and the face of that success wears number 22. But to understand why emotions are this raw, you have to rewind to the moment trust truly collapsed, the Olympic snub. When Team USA left Caitlin Clark off the Paris roster, the decision was framed as basketball logic, experience, chemistry, continuity. But to fans and players, it felt like gatekeeping. A declaration that the old guard would rather protect hierarchy than embrace reality, leaving the most popular female athlete on the planet at home while claiming to want to grow the game was impossible to defend. The backlash was instant. And looking back, the move feels like a strategic disaster. By alienating Clark, the establishment alienated millions of fans. That goodwill could have softened negotiations. Instead, resentment hardened. The league went into the most important labor fight of its history, divided against itself. And while this battle played out in boardrooms, the players were watching something else unfold on the court. Targeting, hard fouls, non-basketball plays, hazing disguised as competition, all on national television. And the league's response was silence, or worse, deflection. When the commissioner framed online hostility as passion, players heard indifference. When physical play went unchecked, they saw a league unwilling to protect its biggest assets. Why sign a long-term deal with an organization that refuses to keep you safe? That question ties directly into union demands. Better travel, full-time security, professional medical standards. These aren't luxuries. They're basic requirements for a league generating billions. The strike authorization vote was the point of no return. It wasn't a bluff, it was a message. The players are willing to burn a season down if that's what it takes. Imagine a league without Caitlin Clark, without Angel Reese, without Aja Wilson. The momentum collapses instantly. Networks panic, sponsors freeze, the revenue stops the moment the players stop playing. And unlike the NBA, the WNBA doesn't have decades of financial insulation. Its profitability is new, fragile, dependent on current stars. For the first time, labor can bankrupt ownership. What makes this moment even more dangerous for the league is unity. Owners expected to divide veterans and rookies. Jealousy, resentment. Instead, they created common ground. Veterans realized the Clark salary cap holds everyone down. If the system suppresses one superstar, it suppresses them all. The rising tide argument only works if the tide is allowed to rise. The loudest move in this entire standoff isn't a statement. It's Caitlin Clark's silence. By refusing to publicly commit, by keeping unrivaled as a real option, and by allowing the union to use her economic impact as ammunition, she's exerting more power than any commissioner ever has. The league can't market the future without her, and under the old rules, they can't afford her. This shock isn't really surprise, it's realization. The era of control is over. Athletes are now CEOs of their own brands, leagues are platforms, and platforms that refuse to modernize get left behind. The prioritization clause in the current CBA perfectly represents the old mindset. For years, players were punished for playing overseas to make real money. Now, with domestic alternatives offering serious pay, that clause looks laughable. Players are refusing exclusivity without equity. They're refusing part-time wages with full-time risk. The monopoly's gone. For years, the league leaned on the idea that it was subsidized, that players should be thankful. But 2024 changed the math. When regular season games outperform MLB and NHL broadcasts, the charity argument dies. You can't run a major league product with minor league wages. And the targeting of Clark this season mirrors the boardroom fight perfectly. On the court, pressure didn't break her, it amplified her. Now the same thing is happening off the court. Fans aren't loyal to logos, they're loyal to players. If Clark walks, the audience follows. Networks know it, owners know it, the commissioner is trapped. Give in and destroy the old model. Hold the line and destroy the product. There is no clean exit. The refusal making headlines isn't just about a contract. It's about refusing a system that sells superstardom and pays substitute teacher money. It's about refusing 6'4" bodies squeezed into economy seats after double overtime games. It's about refusing to take all the physical risk for a fraction of the reward. This has been building for years. Caitlin Clark didn't start it, she accelerated it. And now the league stands at a crossroads. Adapt or collapse under the weight of its own success. Because one thing is already clear. The players aren't asking anymore, they're deciding.